CCIW action rolls along tonight on the campus of Elmhurst College in the western suburbs of Chicago as the Elmhurst College Blue Jays and the University of Dubuque Spartans do battle at Langhorse Field. Thanks for joining us here on Blue Jay TV. We are underway in this CCIW matchup as the Blue Jays look for win number 10 on the season. They are 9-1 entering today, riding an 8-game winning streak and looking to improve their conference record to 2-0. On the other side, Dubuque is 6-6 and even 500 on the year, yet to get a victory in CCIW play. They're 0-2. Elmhurst has first possession here, setting up their offense. You're going to want to watch for Mac Harden today. 35 goals, 12 assists entering tonight. Those 35 goals tops on the Blue Jay roster. He was first team all CCIW both of the last two seasons. Blue Jays swinging it around here on their first possession. Just the fourth home game for Elmhurst this season. They're 2-1 here at Langhorse Field, as that's a shot from maybe 12 meters out there. Whipped a little bit wide, still Blue Jay ball. And a whistle goes Dubuque's way, and they take possession back. And they'll add a little bit of time back on the clock there on the stoppage. Just over a minute in, scoreless here at Langhorse Field. First Dubuque possession now. As we said, the Spartans enter at 6-6. They're 2-3 away from home. And they've traveled about 3 hours east here for this game at Langhorse Field. And Elmhurst strikes first. Of course it's Mac Harden. Goal number 36 on the year. He shoots a great clip at 34%. And he extends his team-leading goal total to 36 on the season. He scored 50 last year to go with 22 assists. Those were both new Elmhurst College single-season records. And he could reset those record books this year. 36 goals, not quite done with 11 games, and still 4 left on the slate for Elmhurst, who still has to play Illinois Wesleyan, Carthage, North Central, and Augustana. Each year, Mac Harden seems to get better and better in this Blue Jay uniform. Another Blue Jay possession out of the face-off. It's Carter Meyer manning that face-off, a junior out of Lake St. Louis, Missouri. Winning 74% of his face-offs this year. He's another guy who has improved year over year. Averaged 39% in 2016, then won 56% of face-offs last year. Now up at 74% this season. Dubuque in the dark blue tonight, Elmhurst in the white. And here's the Spartans' first chance in the offensive third. On the Spartan side, two different men lead the team in goals, Michael Julius and Michael Django, each with 24 goals entering tonight's contest. Julius also has 10 assists to boot. And Dubuque continues to fling it around the outside. And now maybe Joe Fernstall will trigger this offense. Flips it behind the cage. And now back out. A crisp 52 degrees tonight in Elmhurst. A bit overcast, but no wind. So it's decent conditions tonight for LaCrosse. Not too cold. Definitely not warm, but unlike the frigid temperatures that we've had this past weekend in Chicagoland. This is Davis Behrens. Behrens charging on Cage. Fires low and scores. Or rather, it was Michael Julius who Behrens handed off to on the far side. Julius picks up goal number 25 on the year. He and Django will lead this Dubuque offense tonight. So 4 minutes in, and it's an even ball game at 1-1. Back to the face-off we go, where Carter Meyer has performed well, gaining possession for Elmhurst a couple of times already tonight. Again, it's scooped up by the Blue Jays. Meyer securing possession. A little hesitation move behind the net. And now Nordeman backs it out. Nordeman, just a freshman from Colorado Springs, Colorado, has played in 5 games this season. As Dubuque loses it on the far side, picked up by the Blue Jays. An opportunity in transition here. Elmhurst doesn't take advantage. Mac Harden jogging on the near side. 1 goal already tonight for the junior out of Carlsbad, California. Goal. This Elmhurst team can strike in the blink of an eye. And they did it just there, going up 2-1. Elmhurst has outscored their opponents 138-44 during this 8-game winning streak. It's an explosive offense that waits for the right opportunity, and then they know how to strike. A quick whistle here off the face-off, and the officials award the ball to Elmhurst. Another quick opportunity, and the Blue Jays score again. Andrew Freerich inside from a tight angle. The freshman notches his 18th goal of the season. Freerich third on the team in goals, also third in assists, and shooting a great clip at 44%. The prior goal was scored by Cullen Nordeman, who gets his 11th goal of the year. A plethora of Blue Jays are into double-digit goals on this 2018 season. Meyer sprints off after losing that face-off. And now Dubuque uses a timeout. 5.5 minutes in here at Langhorse Field, and we thank you for joining us on Blue Jay TV. I'm Jason Doro. So far, it's been tight, kind of back and forth. Elmhurst was on the board first with a goal from Mac Harden. Dubuque would even it up with a goal from Michael Julius, but then Elmhurst went back-to-back with goals from Nordeman and Freerich. So here we are, 3-1 the scoreline. Elmhurst going for their 9th win in a row. They've taken 8 straight Their last loss was at the hands of Aurora University on February 21st. Back here at Langhorse Field, they lost by a score of 8-7. And since then, it's been a long-running streak of blowouts for these Blue Jays, including wins by scorelines of 27-3, 24-1, and they're coming off a 25-1 victory against Carroll University in Waukesha, Wisconsin. We also mentioned the aggregate score from those 8 games, 138-44. They are absolutely punishing opponents and beating them by as much as possible. 4 games left on the slate for Elmhurst after this one. They play again at home this weekend against Illinois Wesleyan. That game is on Sunday, the 15th at 1 p.m. They'll follow that up with a game at Carthage in Kenosha next Wednesday. First face-off at 7. Their final 2 games of the CCIW slate against North Central and Augustana. And it's bound to be interesting down the stretch here. Wesleyan and Augustana are both 2-0 in CCIW play, with overall records of 7-3 and 7-4 respectively. Elmhurst just 1-0, yet to play most of their CCIW games. Carthage should also be pretty good, although they haven't played a CCIW contest yet. They are 8-3 on the season. Dubuque ball out of the timeout. Let's see what the Spartans and head coach Casey Burst have put together on offense. Burst is in his 3rd year as the head man at Dubuque. Last season went 10-7 with a 1-5 conference record. A pretty good mark for a second-year head coach who inherited a team that was a little bit slim. In 2016, they went 2-11. So a quick and vast improvement to move to 10-7 from 2-11 over the course of a year. This year, 6-6. Seems unlikely that they match that 10-7 mark, especially considering they went 1-5 in conference play last year. And more than likely, they will be up against it against some of these better CCIW teams. Spartans lining up their offense with passes around the perimeter. And now a loose ball near the end line. Blue Jays trying to track it down in the corner. It's knocked back toward the midfield. Everybody trying to get a stick on it. And now the Spartans secure it and will restart. Michael Julius with the lone goal for Dubuque so far in this game, his 25th of the year. A team leading 25 goals. From behind the cage, it's Julius whipping it across the field. All the way to the far side, and it remains Dubuque possession. Another interesting trend for this Dubuque team this year, they've never been more than 1 game away from 500. They have not strung together more than 2 wins or more than 2 losses. So they've never been more than 1 game above 500, below 500. It's been easy sailing, if you will. Just back and forth they go, and now they sit exactly at 500, 6-6 on the year. Dunn behind the cage, had it knocked away. The Blue Jays cause a turnover and look to clear. Down to the other end they go. A little scoop shot right in front of the cage. went way too high. That was Trent Nyberg, a defenseman who stands 6'4", who had a chance in front. Still Blue Jay ball here. Knocked loose. Scooped up by the Spartans. Diego Rodriguez, a sophomore from Lake Villa, Illinois, picked it up. A low-scoring affair so far. The Blue Jays have grown pretty accustomed this season to putting up some huge totals. In fact, they've scored 20 goals or more in 4 of their last 6 contests, with totals of 27, 24, 14, 26, and 5. Julius pressured out by the restraining line. Now zips it behind the net. A bunch of faces getting in the way of Julius when he has a chance. Now Davis Barons, the 4th leading scorer on the Dubuque roster. Up top for Rob Benson. Benson, a freshman from the state of Indiana. Rifles it behind the cage. No space to operate there. Spartans get it back. That shot deflected, but a whistle. And it remains Dubuque ball. They'll restart the possession up top. That ball all the way back to the midfield, and possession's given away. Blue Jays looking to fire right back, and they score. Mac Harden going from the midfield all the way to the cage. And Dubuque was hopeless at that point. It's Harden's 2nd goal of the night and his 37th of the season. Kyle Mullins, the Dubuque goalkeeper, was left in a situation where you simply can't expect him to make that save with one of the top scorers in the CCIW charging on net at full speed. And Dubuque takes another timeout here, now trailing by 3. 3:52 to go in our first half here at Langhorse Field. The 9-1 Elmhurst Blue Jays taking on the 6-6 University of Dubuque Spartans. Dubuque 0-2 in conference play to Elmhurst 1-0. From what we expect, it's been fairly low scoring. We're being over 11 minutes in here and only seeing 5 goals on the scoreboard. I think these teams have underproduced offensively. Let's take a quick peek at the team stats. 6 shots for Elmhurst as compared to Dubuque's 5. 5 ground balls for the Spartans to Elmhurst's 3. Each team has committed 4 turnovers, Elmhurst forcing 2 of the 4. And the Blue Jays are dominating in the face-off, winning 5 of 6 so far tonight. Another factor here has to be the clears. Dubuque's only cleared 2 of their 4 opportunities. And although they've got the ball down to the offensive end, they really haven't created high percentage looks getting in near the crease. Again, thanks for joining us here on Blue Jay TV. Jason Doro here with our producer Ashley, bringing you all the best shots of tonight's action. Back to the face-off we go, resuming play with less than 4 minutes until recess. Meyer able to squirt that one forward and scoop it right up. Carter Meyer, a big reason this team has been successful this year. The junior midfielder winning almost 75% of his faceoffs. 3 goals, 3 assists as well for the junior, who came into this one with 108 ground balls. Dan O'Connell will give it off in the corner here to Andrew Freerich. Now right back to O'Connell, a junior from Duluth, Minnesota, with 11 goals on the season. Nice dodge there from a Blue Jay on the far side. Now in front of the cage, dropped and picked up by the Spartans. Ethan Senesac picking up the loose ball. Now here's the question. Can Dubuque clear it? And they can't. They turn it over right near midfield. Elmhurst transition game, a little behind the back shot. Hit the post and bounced all the way out of bounds on the sideline. That was a gutsy shot from the Blue Jays. It looked like Cullen Nordeman attempting that one. Again, Dubuque turns it over in the midfield. Elmhurst looking to move quickly on the Dubuque net. Mike Foytlin sprinting up the far side and giving it off. And now they'll slow it up in the offensive third. This is Nordeman again, who has 1 goal already tonight. His 11th of the year, came in with 9 assists and 7 ground balls as well. Pretty strong freshman campaign for the young gun out of Colorado Springs. 90 seconds left in the half. In what has been a defensive affair here at Langhorse Field. Dan O'Connell with the spin. Trying to sneak past his defender. Gives it off. Mac Harden has 2 of the 4 Elmhurst goals tonight. O'Connell fires and it's saved by Mullins. That was a strong rip from outside. Mullins made the good save. And now we see a flag fly in as Harden is looking for space to shoot. The underhanded shot is deflected to the far side by Mullins, who is playing well in the cage. And now we'll hear from the officials on the flag with 44 seconds until halftime. Blue Jays passing it around. Now a high pass to the far side. They get possession back. That shot deflected. Tracked down by the Blue Jays. Still looking for a good shot here. Harden to the near side. Now flip back to the top. And a Blue Jay was wide open near the cage, but the pass was wide. 5 seconds remaining in the period. And they'll reset the clock here on quarter number 1. A long shot from way out, and the Blue Jays may have struck right before the end of the first quarter. Yeah, they count it. Dubuque turned it over, and Elmhurst turned it into a point. Mac Harden in the right spot at the right time to make it 5-1 Elmhurst at the end of quarter number 1. Three goals for Harden in our first period. He now has 38 on the season and 12 assists. They also give an assist to CJ Galante, who picks up an assist there. That will be his... First, one goal for Galante on the season. We'll have to check the assist. But end of quarter number 1, our score 5-1, Elmhurst on top, as they look to improve to 10-1 on this season. They're riding an 8-game winning streak and facing off here against the University of Dubuque Spartans. Back and forth they went in quarter number 1. We were tied 1-1 in the early going, but Elmhurst is now riding a 4-goal streak here and looking to ride it into quarter number 2. 3 goals from Mac Harden in the first period, 1 from Cullen Nordeman, and then 1 as well from Andrew Freerich. Over on the Dubuque side, the lone goal was scored by Michael Julius. He and Michael Django came into this game each with 24 goals, but they're the only ones with more than 10 goals on the year for this Dubuque team. And if you look at the overall season stats, Dubuque's numbers just pale in comparison to Elmhurst. 15.8 goals per game for the Blue Jays and less than 7 per contest for the Spartans. Getting set for quarter number 2 here. Carter Meyer has been excellent so far in the face-off for Elmhurst, winning 6 of 7. And again, Elmhurst wins it on the whistle. And Meyer brings it up. Meyer working on a strong junior season. Has started every single game for the Blue Jays, who score right away. Andrew Freerich with his second goal tonight. Some quick passing. Straight out of the face-off, and the Blue Jays go up 6-1. For Freerich, it's goal number 19 on the year. He entered this game third on the team in goals, behind only Mac Harden and Ty Funderburk. Funderburk, by the way, was not in the starting lineup. He's played 9 games this season. The only game that he had missed before tonight was the last contest that Elmhurst played. The 25-1 win at Carroll in Waukesha, Wisconsin. And in order to get him healthy for the end of the season, he's sitting again tonight, it looks like. So we got a couple of yellow flags down in the field here. As Dubuque gets their offensive strategy squared away. Michael Julius dodges a defender, past the restraining line, looking for space, has to dump it off. Julius with the only goal so far tonight for Dubuque. Dubuque, Iowa, by the way, about a 3-hour drive west and a little bit north of here, located where the corners of Illinois and Wisconsin meet Iowa. Another flag up in the air as Julius spins inside and then rifles a shot wide. And now Julius is down. So we await word on the call here. A couple of different Elmhurst players in the penalty box.
Yeah, I know, it's 12, not 15. Thank you.
Meyer and Galante both taking a knee near midfield. And their team will be briefly shorthanded here. And now they have to reset the clock, tack 5 more seconds on. With Elmhurst up by 5 in quarter number 2 at Langhorst Field. And Dubuque can be patient here, but they can't be too patient. Playing a couple of men up, waiting for that opportunity, and the shot goes wide. Now they'll want to hustle to get another look before the players release, and there's the goal for Dubuque. A couple men up, the Spartans make it happen with Michael Django, who matches Michael Julius with his 25th goal of the year. The 2 top scorers on the Dubuque roster, keeping the Spartans in it tonight. 6-2 now the score. Both of the Elmhurst penalized players release here, and we're back at full strength for both squads. Elmhurst has taken 7 of 9 face-offs tonight. Let's see if the trend continues. Dubuque had it for a second. Terrence Green with some momentum going to the right. He couldn't pick up the ball, though. And because of that, it's Elmhurst possession now. A long shot into the back of the net. Cullen Nordeman is feeling it tonight. Bottom right corner of the net. Whistles one past Mullins to make it 7-2 Elmhurst. Nordeman has taken 4 shots tonight now and scored on half of them. 12 goals on the year for the 6-foot freshman. And when Elmhurst is scoring, they are doing it very, very quickly. Usually straight out of the draw. Dubuque, on the other hand, has waited patiently, passed the ball around, and only taken a shot when they think it's of real value. Now Elmhurst swapping some players in and out to set up their offense. One note here, Jake Cameron not wearing 4 tonight, wearing 43, so keep an eye out for that. He switched numbers tonight. The senior from Wentzville, Missouri, wearing 43. And Cameron's played pretty well this year, appearing in every contest, scoring 9 goals and registering 7 assists. Dubuque ball now with Michael Julius, who has been pressured by a swarm of Blue Jay defenders anytime he has possession of the ball. And you see it there, him weaving through Blue Jays to get to the far side. Now a whistle and a brief stoppage. As the officials discuss matters here near midfield, let's take another peek at the stat sheet for this evening. Mac Harden leading the way for Elmhurst, 3 goals, followed by Cullen Nordeman with a pair of goals, and then Curley and Freerich have both scored once tonight. So it looks like our officials have conferred here and awarded Elmhurst possession. And now they're flipping it back to Dubuque. A little bit of confusion here on the field. Early in quarter number 2. Joe Fernstall jogging on the far side. Passes behind the cage. Now a pass up top to Davis Behrens. Took him a moment to secure the ball. Otherwise, he would have shot it from about a 45-degree angle. It looks like he just couldn't gain control in his stick, though. Elmhurst ball again, moving it upfield. And clearing the ball is something that the Blue Jays have done with some ease tonight. When they get possession, they certainly value it. Example A right there. An easy opportunity with a little whip around from behind the cage. It's Cullen Nordeman again. Three goals tonight for the freshman. And this must be one of his best performances of the season. Nordeman had only played in 5 games entering tonight. Missed 5 games in the middle of the season. Returned in Elmhurst's last game, the 25-1 victory at Carroll. But he missed everything between March 10th and March 31st. Games against Adrian, Olivet, Whittier, Beloit, and Albion. Waiting for the restart now with Elmhurst up by 6.
We got a 9:55. Yep, 09:55.
And now we resume play here with Blue Jay possession. Still calm and cool here on the campus of Elmhurst College. But the Elmhurst offense is on fire. Simply can't be stopped. And they extend their lead to 9-2 here with another goal. It's safe to say the Blue Jays have been on a hot streak, winning their last 8 games by a combined score of 138-44. Their last loss came February 21st against Aurora by a score of 8-7. One of the few games this year in which they haven't scored in double figures. Dubuque wins the face-off here. Diego Rodriguez picked it up. Now they're looking to move upfield as this game gets more and more chippy in the midfield. Elmhurst strips the ball back. And now they're looking to put a double-digit number on the scoreboard. A good crowd in attendance here as well at Langhorse Field. The weather probably has something to do with it as Nordeman goes for the bounce shot. And bounced it well over the cage. It remains 9-2, at least for the moment. Loose ball. Mullins is able to take it. And now we'll pause as a Dubuque player comes off. Looks like Terrence Green may have taken a beating on Elmhurst's offensive end. Again, we await the officials to sort this one out after a prolonged discussion with the Elmhurst coaching staff. And now they'll give way to action. That's a bad place to commit a turnover. Mac Harden is deadly when you give him the ball in that position. Five goals now for the junior. 40 goals on the season. Soon he'll probably eclipse his mark of 50 from last year.
Elmhurst goal, his 40th of the season, scored on assist by number 2, Matt Harden.
And there wasn't a whole lot of pressure on Dubuque there. They didn't have to push the ball upfield. They simply lost it near the restraining line, allowing Harden to scoop it up and go score. Nobody was in net, really. Mullins was backpedaling to get there and provide any kind of defense. And as we take a timeout here, both head coaches are meeting with all 3 officials at midfield to discuss, I'm guessing, the face-off from several minutes ago and the ensuing minute or two in which everyone was getting bumped around and knocked down. Terrence Green on the Dubuque sideline is clearly upset. It's hard to say what exactly he's upset about. But now Mark Morrell and Casey Burst will retreat to their respective sidelines and let their teams play on. Surely hoping that these officials will keep the game from getting too aggressive on either side. .8:33 remaining in quarter number 2. Thanks again for joining us here on Blue Jay TV as Elmhurst looks for win number 10 on this 2018 season. The Blue Jays working on an 8-game winning streak against the University of Dubuque Spartans, who are 6-6 on the year, just 2-3 away from home, and 0-2 in conference play. And the Blue Jays are really just beginning the most important stretch of the year. Their next 2 games are against Illinois Wesleyan and Carthage before contests against North Central and Augustana. Wesleyan currently is tied for the lead in the CCIW, and they're tied with Augustana, who are both 2-0, and they each have a total of 7 wins on the year. Carthage is bound to be good in conference play as well. They sit at 8-3 on the season. So 3 of those final 4 contests will provide some sort of test at least for Elmhurst, who has cruised by many of their opponents as of late. Pass in front, an easy look, but it was bounced a little wide by Nordeman. Point-blank range for Nordeman, who already has a trio of goals tonight. But of course, Elmhurst isn't necessarily dying to extend their lead at this point. Exactly halfway through quarter number 2. Dubuque looking to chip into the deficit. Blue Jays knocked over near the end line. And the foul against Dubuque gives it back to Elmhurst. Or rather, they're going to keep it on this end. It's knocked away from Michael Julius. Tanner Weiss was trying to gain possession. Dubuque totally mismanaging their offense, and they decide to use a timeout. Getting a bit sloppy behind the cage, as both of these teams are deciding to play physical for Wednesday night lacrosse here at Langhorse Field in the western suburbs of Chicago. 50 degrees here and cloudy, but not too windy. Maybe a slight breeze out to the west now. Blowing to your left as you see it. 10-2 Elmhurst. A game that they have dominated from the beginning. The Blue Jays were on the board first with a goal from Mac Harden. Dubuque spotted to make it 1-1. It's been all Blue Jays since then, though, on a 9-1 run. 5 goals for Harden, 3 for Cullen Nordeman. Curley and Freerich have each notched a goal tonight as well. Over on the Dubuque side, Julius and Django each have a goal. The 2 guys who have accounted for the majority of scoring for Dubuque this season. In fact, they each came into this game with 24 goals. Combined, they account for 59% of Dubuque scoring on the 2018 season. And right now they're looking for help on the offensive end. This is Julius here, wearing the long black pants. Gallagher sprinting around, a freshman from North Vancouver, Canada. Dubuque has several Canadians on their roster as Elmhurst forces a turnover behind the net. Gallagher had it knocked away. A couple of flags fly. Elmhurst sending some subs in. As the officials issue the violations against the Spartans. Dubuque in the penalty here. And Elmhurst looking to strike on the power play. That shot was from a very tight angle on the far side, both high and wide. Blue Jays have it back now. Zinging it around the outside. As the Spartans get their men back on the field. Miles Branch just raced back in. This is Jake Cambron wearing 43 tonight, as noted earlier. Parallel with the cage, now running behind it. Long pass outside, knocked down and taken away. A rare turnover forced by Dubuque. Andrew Wagner getting his stick up and snaring it. Wagner, a freshman from Delaware, Ohio. And now let's see if Dubuque can get it upfield. This has been an issue for them tonight. And they had lost the ball, but then a whistle by the official in the near right corner will save possession for Dubuque. The Spartans space out their offense, trailing by 8. Dubuque coming off a 10-7 season in which they went 1-5 in conference play, 6-6 this year. Going to be hard to match that 10-7 mark. Here comes Michael Julius, 1 goal tonight. He's made 40% of his shots this season. Julius checked repeatedly on the far side and gives it up. Now Ben Gallagher's turn to give a stab at this Elmhurst defense. Rips through, shoots, easy save. We have not had to call the name of Jake Delgado very many times tonight. But that's about as easy as a save is going to get. Delgado, a freshman out of Parker, Colorado. Who didn't start in goal until Noah Bakofen left the cage. Bakofen started the first 3 games of the season in goal for Elmhurst before being replaced by Delgado, and Delgado has performed really well. Fewer than 5 goals allowed per game, a save percentage of just around 62%. Undefeated at 7-0 as well for the Blue Jays. And those numbers are partly a product of the stellar defense in front of him, as that shot from straight on sails a bit wide. A lot of pace on that shot from Jake Heil. But of course, Delgado is faring well in net with those numbers. You partly credit the defense, you partly credit the competition, and you partly credit Delgado for how well Elmhurst has performed defensively this year. The Blue Jays are allowing just 6.3 goals per game as compared to 8.7 for Dubuque. And Elmhurst has numbers here. Hardin with a pass up to the far side, and the Blue Jays strike again. I don't know if you can call it a scoring drought. It was almost 7 minutes since the Blue Jays last scored. But with the way that this offense is playing, it felt like a scoring drought for Elmhurst. They snap it and expand their lead to 11-2. Mac Hardin not the one scoring this time. Instead, he records an assist, his 13th of the season. The goal was then scored by Marcus Yandel. And in the blink of an eye, the Blue Jays are on the scoreboard again. They're spreading the love out offensively, keeping it going nonstop. Looking for another one of those 20-goal games. Andrew Freerich notching the goal this time. For Freerich, it's goal number 2 on the night. The freshman out of Colorado came into this one with 17 goals, third best on the Elmhurst roster. And with Ty Funderburk on the bench, that they get contributions from guys like Cullen Nordeman, like Andrew Freerich, and more of the offensive threats and attackers that Mark Morrell has at his disposal. This is Cullen Nordeman, sidewinding and firing high. And the officials will discuss the latest whistle. There's a flag down. We await the call with Elmhurst leading by 10. And now the officials have squared things away with the penalty against Dubuque. Less than a minute remains until halftime. Elmhurst again up a man here with a chance to extend the lead. Hardin absolutely ripping one from straight on, and a great save made by Mullins. Amazing that he saw that thing coming and was able to get a stick on it. Now Dubuque wants to chip into the deficit before halftime. A flag in the air as a Spartan hits the deck. This is bound to be against the Blue Jays. Marcus Yandel jogging off to the Blue Jay bench. And the penalty is on Trent Nyberg, the freshman defender out of Carlsbad, California. Nyberg takes a knee. 25 seconds until the break here at Langhorse Field. And let's see if Dubuque looks to score before recess. Right now, they're just waiting as the clock ticks down. They have one penalty here before the break, too. The officials blew the whistle here with just 2 seconds until halftime.
That's exactly what I have on here. That penalty is over for them. Oh, he called too. Oh, see, he didn't know the rule. That's the problem. He called too many men, and I think that the guy's penalty was there. With 4 seconds.
They're now counting up the Spartans on the field to make sure they had the right number, with Miles Branch still awaiting in the penalty box. They've stuck 4 seconds back on the clock here. Very close to halftime. Elmhurst ball, and the Blue Jays will just run it out. The clock hits zeros, and that brings us to halftime here at Langhorse Field. With the score, Elmhurst 12, Dubuque 2. A quick peek at our halftime stats. Mac Harden leads the way for Elmhurst with 5 goals. Cullen Nordeman had 3 in that first half. Andrew Fryrich had a pair. And then Curley and Yandel both put in a goal. Over on the Dubuque side, 1 goal for Michael Django, 1 goal for Michael Julius. Overall, a dominant first half for the Blue Jays, leading in shots 26-9 as well. We'll break here on Blue Jay TV. When we come back, half number 2 on the way from Langhorse Field. Again, your halftime score, Elmhurst up by 10 on Dubuque. Welcome back to Langhorse Field on the campus of Elmhurst College in the western suburbs of Chicago. Our halftime score here, Elmhurst 12, Dubuque 2. The Blue Jays were all over the Spartans in half number one, as to be expected for a team that's 9-1 on the year and riding an 8-game winning streak. And I'm sure that Mark Morrell and his squad expect to finish strong here against these 6-6 Spartans in half number two. Jason Doro here on Blue Jay TV. A big thank you over to our producer Ashley for bringing you all the best shots of today's action here at Langhorse Field. Getting back underway now with Elmhurst in possession of the ball. They have been dominant from end to end tonight. Particularly on offense, though, given that they had 12 goals in the first half, coming on 26 shots. And they'll pick up right where they left off. Mac Harden, goal number 6 on the night. The Blue Jays continue their onslaught against this Dubuque team. And Harden now has 41 goals on the season. Coming in 10 games, he's averaging more than 4 goals per contest. And he's closing in on the mark that he put up last year, 50 goals, which led this Blue Jay team. He's led the team in both goals and assists for the last 2 years. 50 goals, 22 assists last season. And then in 2016, 34 goals, 13 assists. He currently holds the Elmhurst College single-season records. Those marks of 50 and 22 last year. And, of course, when you hold the record for goals and assists, you also hold the record for points, 72 last year. He's been first-team All-CCIW both of the last 2 years. And before you can finish talking about Mac Harden, Elmhurst has scored again. 14-2. The Blue Jays take it straight from the face-off to the back of the net. And now you can see it in the body language of this Dubuque team, looking rather defeated on the sideline, on the field. Andrew Lentz scoring the goal there. The sophomore out of Walnut Creek, California, scoring his 6th goal of the year. Andrew Freerich also picks up an assist. That's the 4th assist tonight for Andrew Freerich. That's a rather impressive mark in its own right. 17 assists for Freerich on the year, which is now second most on the Elmhurst roster, behind only Ty Funderburk, who has not been on the field tonight. Funderburk missed the last game, a 25-1 win at Carroll University in Waukesha, Wisconsin. And Funderburk, who was on the second-team All-CCIW roster last year, is not playing again tonight. Funderburk was also the CCIW Newcomer of the Year last season with 27 goals and 19 assists. And surely Mark Morrell wants him back for this stretch run. That shot bounced in front of the cage and it trickles away wide. There was a flag on the play, though. Grady Sheehan trotting off, or rather Miles Branch. Branch was in the penalty box right before halftime, too. The foul is issued to Andrew Wagner, a freshman from Delaware, Ohio. And Elmhurst eyes another opportunity to build on this 12-goal edge. Nifty play in the midfield. Adam Steingraber poking it away from Marcus Yandel. And he was able to work the ball upfield before Dubuque turned it over. Elmhurst loses it out of bounds on the near side. Dubuque has it back. But they'll need to wait to get their best players down on the offensive end. The Spartans have taken 9 shots tonight, resulting in just 2 goals on the Elmhurst side, 29 shots, scoring on almost half of them. And that's part of the issue for Dubuque. Even when they're taking a shot, it's not a high percentage look. Ball pops out of the stick of Tanner Weiss. Flipped out of bounds. And it remains Dubuque possession. So a huge edge in shots for Elmhurst, 29-9. A decent edge in ground balls as well, 20-16, as Michael Julius sprints in from behind the cage, passes it in front of the cage, and a Spartan could not collect. Rob Benson had a chance. Tried to flick it in with a little one-timer. Instead, Elmhurst gets it off the turnover. Shot, goal. Easy work for the Blue Jays. Andrew Freerich again. Freerich with 3 goals, 4 assists tonight. And he's not leading the team in goals, but he may have the most well-rounded performance of the evening. Three goals, 4 assists, coming on 4 shots. Getting a lot of good looks and converting. 15-2, Elmhurst continuing this rout of Dubuque. Dubuque came in at 6-6 on the year. And we mentioned this in the first half. Dubuque has never been more than 1 game below or above 500 this year. They've never strung together more than 2 wins or losses. They've gone back and forth, back and forth. And their overall record has remained really steady this year. 6-6 they are right now. 0-2 in conference play. Losses to Illinois Wesleyan and Augustana. They lost to Augustana 9-6. Wesleyan 27-7. And of course, if you're an Elmhurst fan, you're starting to think, well, how does that correlate for the Blue Jays? What are their odds against those 2 teams? As a nice save is made by Mullins here. However, his outlet pass was intercepted. Loose ball right in front of the crease. And the officials award possession to Elmhurst. Elmhurst goal. A little delayed shot from Cullen Nordeman. Didn't put a whole lot of pace on it. And that's what fooled Mullins in net. The 4th goal of the night for Nordeman. He's taken a dozen shots now. A busy evening of work for the freshman out of Colorado Springs. Jumping back to Dubuque's games earlier this year. A 27-7 loss against Illinois Wesleyan on March 20th. And a 9-6 loss against Augustana on April 4th. That was the last game that they've played. It certainly bodes well for Elmhurst against Augustana, because if the Blue Jays are winning 16-2 here, they shouldn't have many issues with Augie. Wesleyan, on the other hand, is looking very stellar this year. beat these Spartans by 20. And that's bound to be a great matchup. You'll want to make your way back to Langhorse Field. This Sunday, 1 o'clock, Wesleyan against Elmhurst in a matchup of two of the top teams in the CCIW, both of whom presumably will be undefeated. Wesleyan was 2-0 entering tonight. Elmhurst 1-0. There are a couple of other undefeated teams in the CCIW. Augustana's 2-0. Carthage has not played a game yet, so technically they're undefeated. Elmhurst still on offense here. Absolutely no rush for these Blue Jays. By the way, Wesleyan plays on Friday before taking on Elmhurst on Sunday. They play Whittier College. I doubt with a day of rest they'll be worn down, though, for that key matchup this weekend. Nearing midway through the third. A Dubuque turnover. Another chance for Elmhurst as we see more and more new bodies filter onto the field. Diego Rodriguez with a pass to the far side. Dubuque down by 14. They also have 4 games left this season, just like Elmhurst. They play Carroll on Saturday at 3 p.m. That's at home back in Dubuque for the Spartans. Then they finish the year with 3 road games, playing at Carthage in Kenosha, at North Central in Naperville, and then at North Central in Minnesota. Don't get those two twisted. 2 different North Centrals at the end of the year, one in Naperville, one in Minneapolis. Michael Julius, bounce shot, wide right. Elmhurst getting it done on both ends tonight. Just 2 goals for Dubuque, who averages just under 7 goals per game. They shoot only 25%. They tend to be pretty good defensively, though. Their opponents shoot less than 24%. Elmhurst's offensive clip is near 35% as that shot deflects off the crossbar. Ben Gallagher whips it toward the cage a little wide. Dubuque is getting their opportunities right now. They simply can't convert. Now it will be interesting to see what Mark Morrell does. In his 6th season as the head coach with Elmhurst, up by 14. We talked about getting more and more bodies off the bench. Providing experience for some of the players who don't normally play in what would be a close game for Elmhurst. And that might be important for the Blue Jays later in the season. Shot and a goal. Dan O'Connell from straight away. And O'Connell was helped out by the fact that his defender lost the head of his stick. And there's so little you can do defensively when the stick falls apart like that. The defender just ran off to the sideline to grab a new stick, and O'Connell was free to charge on the net. Second defender came, but it was too late. O'Connell now with 3 goals tonight. Excuse me, that was his first goal. Elmhurst back on offense here. We apologize for those brief technical difficulties. We have our audio back up and running, with Elmhurst up by 15. 17-2 the score here. Most of the way through our third quarter. Thanks again for joining us on Blue Jay TV tonight on what is a rather calm and pleasant evening for some CCIW lacrosse. Jake Heil trying to pass it off there. Loose ball, a whole bunch of different players pestering each other. Elmhurst takes possession. A whistle and a foul against Elmhurst. Marcus Yandall with the violation there. A rare turnover committed by the Blue Jays in what has been a dominant evening. In almost every phase of the game, too. 37 shots for Elmhurst tonight to 14 for Dubuque. Carter Meyer has been magnificent as usual in the faceoff, winning 16 of 21. And Meyer is one of those players that's really grown, improved as his college career has gone on. As a freshman, he won just 39% of faceoffs back in 2016. Last year, that number jumped to 56%. So far this year, he's taking 3/4 of them. Entered tonight with 74% in the faceoff. And that number could jump after tonight, given that he's taken 16 of 21. Shot from a tight angle. That was Ben Gallagher, who is one of the top scorers for Dubuque, although they only have 4 guys who have scored more than 4 goals this season. Unless your name is Michael Django, Michael Julius, Tanner Weiss, or Davis Behrens, you haven't put the ball in the net too many times this season for Dubuque. They have a bunch of guys who have chipped in here and there, But Django and Julius have scored almost 59% of the Dubuque goals in the 2018 season. Elmhurst, shot on goal, saved this time by Mullins. Knocked it down. Took a second for him to retrieve the ball, eventually scooping it up. Here comes Dubuque on offense, where they've been largely unsuccessful this season, or this game, excuse me. An Elmhurst player knocked to the ground. It won't stop them from taking possession, though. 20 seconds remain in the period, as the Blue Jays eye win number 10 on the season. Coast to coast. Trent Nyberg, a freshman from Carlsbad, California, running almost the length of the field in order to give Elmhurst their 18th goal of the night. It will be Nyberg's 7th goal of the season. A defender standing 6'4". You don't normally see him with those kinds of offensive opportunities. Correction, to fix the number there. It looked like it was Nyberg number 10. It was actually number 17, or 18, Dan Curley. Curley with goal number 2 of the night. Nyberg has chipped in well defensively, but it was Curley going coast to coast. The 8 just looked like a 0, a senior midfielder out of Chicago. Curley gets his 2nd goal of the game and his 3rd of the season. He didn't come in with a whole lot of offensive production, but that pair of goals tonight has helped Elmhurst gain this 16-goal edge. Now we pause for the end of quarter number 3, 15 more minutes left on the clock, as Elmhurst is put it in cruise control in this game against Dubuque. Thanks again for joining us for tonight's contest between Elmhurst and Dubuque at Langhorse Field. The first several minutes of tonight's action, it looked like this might be a close one. These teams battling back and forth, playing a pretty tightly contested game, and since then it's been all Elmhurst. They put the pedal to the metal, and Dubuque has not been able to handle anything that these Blue Jays have brought offensively, while the Spartans have been staggered really anytime they get within 10-20 meters of the net. They've got very few offensive looks that have been of value. They've only put it in the back of the cage twice. And thus Elmhurst is 15 minutes away from another victory. A quick shot off the face-off there. Good stop by Mullins in the net. He knocks it down and throws the outlet pass to trigger this Spartan offense. And something needs to get them going at this junction. At this point, you're probably not thinking about putting a W on the board this evening, but you want to do something offensively for morale on the drive back to Eastern Iowa this evening. That shot from Julius stopped in the cage by Delgado. Delgado has been helped out a whole lot by the defense of this Elmhurst team this season, but his stats are nothing short of terrific. Less than 5 goals allowed per game, a save percentage right around 62%, and a perfect record of 7-0. Earlier this season, he replaced Noah Bakafin, a junior who started the first 3 games in goal for Elmhurst. And Bakafin was solid, less than 10 goals allowed per game, and a save percentage around 46%. And part of the reason that Bakafin's numbers just don't match Delgado's is the competition that he had to face. Elmhurst took on Wittenberg in the first game of the season, then faced Aurora and Concordia University, Wisconsin. 3 tough opponents. Elmhurst won the first game against Wittenberg 13-11, lost to Aurora 8-7, then beat Concordia 12-9. They followed that up with a close 10-9 victory against Benedictine. Since then, smooth sailing. A ton of easy victories for the Blue Jays, with the exception of a close win against Albion College in Albion, Michigan back on March 31st. If you add up the combined scores of Elmhurst's last 8 games, 138-44, blowing out opponents during this win streak, with, of course, that exception in Albion. Dubuque looking for some late goals. That shot stopped by Delgado. Great vision from the keeper and anticipation to flip the stick up and make that save. A bit of a scoring spell here to start quarter number 4. No scoring yet in the period. Elmhurst scored with 11 seconds left in the third quarter. Dan Curley scoring at that point. Curley has a pair of goals tonight after he came into this evening with just 1 goal on the season. Again, Delgado playing great defense and getting the ball back for Elmhurst. Trent Nyberg with a spin, lost it, ball on the ground. The Spartans had it. Can they keep it? And now a flag on the turf on the far sideline. We await the call from the officials. Let's take another look at what Elmhurst has down the final stretch in the 2018 season. A game this Sunday against Illinois Wesleyan in what's bound to be a huge game with CCIW standings implications. Wesleyan currently atop the conference, tied with Augustana at 2-0. 1 o'clock, that game starts on Sunday here at Langhorse Field. Blue Jays will be back in action next Wednesday as well at Carthage College in Kenosha. 7 o'clock, first face-off for that one. And then another weekend game for Elmhurst as they take on North Central on Saturday, April 21st. Again, 1 o'clock, that game will start. Final game of the season will be April 28th at Augustana in Rock Island, Illinois. 2 p.m. start for that game on the road. Less than 10 minutes remain. Jake Heil penetrating and then circling back out. This is Luke Richardson giving back to Heil, who shoots, bounces it up into the stick of Mullins, making the save. Sam Kopecky is actually taken over in goal now for Dubuque, so he made the save there. Mullins with a tough evening. 9 saves, allowed 18 goals. Now replaced by Kopecky, who's made 4 saves. A nice little start for the junior out of Sussex, Wisconsin. The scoring has come to a halting stop here in quarter number 4. Almost 7 minutes since either of these teams put it in the back of the net. And that's mostly in part to Elmhurst taking their foot off the gas, leading by 16. At this point, both these teams are probably rather content to move on. Heil shoots and scores. The sophomore from San Diego with his first goal of the night and his 12th of the season. Elmhurst eyeing another 20-goal game. Four times this season in just 11 games, Elmhurst has broken 20 goals in the contest. 25 against Carroll, 20 against Beloit on March 27th, 24 against Olivet on the 17th of March, and 27 against Adrian on March 10th on the road in Michigan. So they can make it 5 games this season in which they've scored 20 plus, with one more this evening. Rodriguez loses it. Able to scoop it back up. That pass high and outside and out of bounds back to Elmhurst. Mac Harden got things going tonight for Elmhurst with the first goal of the evening. And he paced them in the first half. 6 goals on the night. Cullen Nordeman chipped in 4 as well. Nordeman missed 5 games in the middle of the season before returning in Elmhurst's 25-1 victory against Carroll last weekend. And having him back in the swing of things here should be key. Especially if Ty Funderburk is out. Funderburk not playing tonight, and he missed Elmhurst's last game against Carroll. Funderburk is a guy who has been instrumental to Elmhurst's success. Second team All-CCIW last year, as well as the conference's newcomer of the year. Dan Curley was also second team All-CCIW last year. And tonight he's put on a little surprising offensive performance with a pair of goals. And Elmhurst is back in the scoring column. (20-2) the score. The rout continues in period number 4. .45 shots for the Blue Jays tonight to just 17 for Dubuque. Almost every statistical category goes Elmhurst's way. 34 ground balls by the Blue Jays to 21 rather, for Dubuque. 13 is the number of saves for the Spartans this evening, and that's because they faced a nonstop assault on their cage. Dubuque's 12 of 24 on clears tonight. Elmer's 12 of 13. They're almost perfect. Face-offs as well. 20 of 25 for Elmhurst. Carter Meyer has controlled the proceedings there. 18 of 23 for him. Mark Morrell then swapped in Eric Shaw, who was a perfect 2 of 2 in the face-off. Shaw, a junior from Chesterfield, Missouri. The Blue Jays passing it around. Nice pass inside. Richardson had a chance. The stop was made by Kopecky. A couple of flags fly. And again, we await the officials as they make the calls and set things up for the final 4 minutes and change at Langhorse Field. And now Dubuque will use a timeout to regroup for that final stretch. We appreciate you coming aboard tonight on Blue Jay TV. I'm Jason Doro. Our producer and director is Ashley, and she's done a great job behind the camera to bring you tonight's action. A big thank you to her for her work into the final moments of tonight's game. Almost 2 hours into this one, and Elmhurst has consistently been pushing on the Dubuque cage. 20 goals for the Blue Jays tonight. It's the 5th game of the season in which the Blue Jays have recorded 20 or more goals. And it has to be one of their best defensive performances. Let's take a look on the season. Elmhurst gave up 1 goal to Carroll in their win in Waukesha this past weekend. They also gave up just 1 goal to Olivet on March 17th. If you look up and down the Elmhurst schedule this season, basically each game has been a blowout or a tight one. They beat Wittenberg by 2. They lost to Aurora by 1, beat Concordia by 3, beat Benedictine by 1, cleared Adrian by 24, and knocked off Olivet by 23. Beloit they also clobbered by 11. Albion they beat by 1. Carroll they destroyed 25-1. The only game that's kind of a middle of the road, they didn't absolutely knock them out, but it wasn't all that close either, is the win at Whittier on March 22nd, 14-7. Maybe that'll change in the final couple of games because they're bound to play some tough opponents. Illinois Wesleyan, Carthage, North Central, and then Augustana all due up in the month of April for Elmhurst. Play has resumed. A long shot from well outside where you normally see Dubuque taking a risk and putting it on net. That bouncer a little bit wide. Michael Julius jabs, stops, and gives his teammates a brief second to catch a breather. Now a triple team on Julius, who has to fire and shoots wide. And he shakes his head as he jogs off to the bench. For much of the time in which Dubuque has had the ball on the offensive end, it's been on Michael Julius to create, whether it's by himself or if it's by Julius running around and dishing off to a teammate after drawing a double team. Elmhurst got the scouting report right, put a couple of bodies on Julius and Django, and he'll do just fine defensively against this Spartan team. Each of those guys came into this game with 24 goals, accounting for more than half of the goals scored by Dubuque this season. In fact, almost 60% of their goals this year. Next best on the team is Tanner Weiss with 10 entering tonight. A Dubuque turnover, and here comes the Blue Jays. That shot stopped. Good job by Andrew Wagner snaring it in front of the cage. A bunch of players jogging on and off here after the whistle. Some late penalties in this one with less than 2 minutes to play. So Mark Morrell may be building a powerhouse here at Elmhurst College. 2005, this team didn't win a game, went 0-9. The following season, 5-11, much improved. Last year, 8-9, and they went 4-2 in CCIW play. Now here they sit, 9-1 overall. Soon to be 10-1. Also soon to move to 2-0 in conference play, and 3-1 here at home. It's taken a little bit of time for Morrell to turn this team into a real winner, but here they are. Absolutely spectacular this season. showing it on both ends of the field tonight. And it looks like Dubuque will use one more timeout here. (20-2) with 62 seconds left. It's been a good evening for LaCrosse. This spring in Chicagoland has not been ideal, with random snowstorms, constant cold, temperatures in the 40s and 30s. I'm sure both these teams feel blessed this evening to be playing in 50-degree weather with very little wind and no precipitation. And it's impressive the number of fans that have stuck around for the end of this one. A bunch of Elmhurst fans sitting on the near side at Langhorse Field, taking in the final moments of a Blue Jay victory. Dubuque with one more possession here. Another save by Delgado, who has been great in cage. Great might not even start to define Delgado's play. 6 saves for him. He's only let in 2 goals. He's been stellar this season, allowing less than 5 goals per contest. Here comes Dubuque. That shot knocked down. Delgado refuses to let anybody past. 5 seconds left. And as the clock winds down to 0, Elmhurst will charge on to the field victors. Behind 6 goals from Mac Harden, 4 from Cullen Nordeman, 2 from Dan Curley, and 3 from Andrew Freerich, as well as contributions all around. The Elmhurst Blue Jays top the Dubuque Spartans by a score of 20-2. With the victory, the Blue Jays move to 10-1 on the year, and they jump to 2-0 in conference play. Dubuque will drop to 6-7 and 0-3 in the CCIW. That'll about do it for us tonight. A big thank you again to our director and producer, Ashley, for her work behind the camera tonight. Signing off from Langhorse Field, I'm Jason Doro. Again, your final score, Elmhurst wins 20-2 and extends their winning streak to 9 games.